You turn on a tap. Water comes out. You don't think about it again. It feels automatic, guaranteed, like it was always going to be there. But 2,000 years ago, a poet looked at something falling from the sky and called it the one thing that decides whether an entire world lives or dies. Not gold, not kings, not armies. Rain. Let me take you back to a village where that idea wasn't poetry yet. It was survival. There was a farmer in that village who had planted his entire year into the soil. His family's food, his cattle's grazing, the well his neighbors drew from, all of it depended on clouds that hadn't arrived yet. For weeks, the sky stayed empty. The soil cracked. The wells dropped lower each morning. Children were sent to fetch water from farther and farther away. An old woman in the village, one who had seen many dry seasons before, sat outside her home every evening and watched the horizon. Not out of worship, out of arithmetic. She knew exactly how many days the grain stores could last. She knew exactly what happened to a village when they ran out. One evening, a young boy asked her the question every child in that village eventually asked. Why do we wait on the sky like this? Why does everything depend on something we can't control? She didn't answer right away. She pointed instead toward the well, toward the fields, toward the thin cattle standing in the dust. Look around you, she said. The grain in your bowl, the milk in your cup, the green in that field. None of it came from us. We only borrowed it for a while from the rain. The boy didn't understand yet, so she explained further. People think gold is the most valuable thing in the world, she said. But gold cannot grow rice. Gold cannot fill a well. If the rain stops coming, gold sits uselessly in a chest while the whole village starves around it. Rain is the only wealth that actually keeps you alive. That night, the clouds finally broke. The first drops fell on the dry roof, and the entire village came outside to stand in it, not to celebrate a luxury, to celebrate their own survival. Centuries later, when the poet Thirukkural sat down to open one of the most influential ethical texts in Tamil literature, this is exactly where he chose to begin. Not with kings, not with wealth, not even with virtue itself. He began with rain, because without it, nothing else in the book would matter at all. Climate historians studying ancient agrarian societies, such as the work referenced by researcher Brian Fagan on climate and civilization, have shown again and again that entire empires rose and collapsed based on nothing more dramatic than rainfall patterns. Egypt without the Nile's flood, Mesopotamia without seasonal rain. The story repeats itself across every ancient civilization that ever depended on the sky. Modern hydrologists studying the global water cycle describe something the old poet seemed to already sense instinctively. The same water that falls as rain moves endlessly through rivers, oceans, and clouds, evaporating and returning again and again. It is not created. It is only ever recirculated. Every raindrop that hits a field today has fallen somewhere else before, maybe thousands of years earlier. In a very literal sense, the rain that once fed an ancient farmer's crops could be the same water falling on your roof tonight. Think about that the next time rain interrupts your plans and you complain about the inconvenience of it. Thirukkural wasn't just writing about weather. He was pointing at the one force silently holding up everything else you take for granted. The food on your table, the crops in the field, the rivers behind your city's water supply. Because somewhere between an empty well and a cracked field, An old woman had already understood something most people never stop to notice. The words that boy carried with him into adulthood said it simply. The world its course maintains through life that rain unfailing gives. Thus rain is known the true ambrosial food of all that lives. You don't control the sky, but everything you have came from it anyway.